But we can say that, but I mean, we truly can't really believe that because
no, we don't enact it. Yes,
I mean,
exactly my criticism. Exactly.
I mean, yeah, there's no way. I mean, there's way too many people, in this world to. I mean, there would be no way to restructure any of that.
Oh, I don't agree. Now we're going to disagree because
that's okay.
The fact is,
it's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. No. The fact is that this is what I meant when I said downstairs. We can't just talk about education isolated from all the others, surrounding context. So, for example, we very easily in this country could build palaces of learning for every kid, very easily. And that should be our standard. In fact, our standard for the schools we want on the west side of Chicago or in the South Bronx, our standard should be, what do the wisest and most privileged people want for their children? And you look at Obama moving from Chicago to Washington, all the speculation in the press, where will he send his kids? I had no doubt he would send his kids to a school where there are 12 kids to a classroom, where they have well-resourced classrooms, where they have a curriculum based on curiosity, questioning, pursuing questions, and where they have a respected teacher corps, who incidentally is unionized. That's where the Obamas want their kids, and that's fine. But if they want it for their kids, in a democracy, we have to want that for all kids. Anything else will destroy democracy. So we're either going to, keep generating a more and more vicious class system, or we're going to find a way to restructure and rethink education. To kind of undertake democratic purpose.
It can only get more vicious from here.
Why?
Isn't it like when you say the system is geared to keeping the kids fat, stupid, and lazy?
Well, without a doubt. And when I said the system's broken on every level,
to all the advertising.
It's the advertising, but it's also the lack of education. I mean, there's so many ways to look at it. That National Geographic did a survey of 18 to 25-year-old American kids, gave a blank world map. 80% couldn't find Iraq, even though we've spent untold billions there, right? They couldn't find Iraq. I think we would all be hard-pressed to draw a freehand sketch of Iraq with the major cities and the surrounding country. We don't have any geographic literacy in this country. We don't have any language literacy. Or take the collapse of the economy, the financial collapse and then the economic depression. How many kids are taught an education where, any of this makes sense, where they can actually understand it, connect the dots. So one thing is our system is broken, but another thing is that we are squandering our resources on war, on incarceration, on surveillance. What we ought to be investing in is education, healthcare, and so on. And when I say surrounding context, I mean, for example, I met a kid on the west side of Chicago, 12 years old. He missed 40 days of school last year because of chronic asthma, no health care, mother unemployed, got a fire in his apartment, had to move 3 times in the course of a year. Now that kid is having a great deal of trouble, but his test score is not actually the measure of either who he is or what we ought to provide him. So we can't talk about schools and school reform without also talking about health care, to have a living neighborhood and getting guns out of our communities and all the rest of it.
Sounds like we got a lot of work to do here.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I wasn't stoned through geography, and I would freaking know where Iraq is too, or whatever country we're fighting out.
What's funny is I was in Rwanda at the 10th anniversary of the genocide, and I went on this one dusty hillside where they had 40,000 refugees in a UN thing. I went into the high school, and the kids found out I was from Chicago, and one kid gets up and walks over. He's a high school kid. Gets his work folder, pulls out, and he has a freehand sketch of the United States. And he says to me, "You live in the Great Lakes of North America, just like I'm in the Great Lakes of Central Africa." Who the hell knew there were Great Lakes in Central Africa? You know what I mean? And how does he know that when we don't know about him? And that is one of the problems of an educational system geared toward toward competition and and winners and losers.
But so you spent a great number of months living with Bill.
Yeah, I sure did.
And wait, which state was it?
That was in Chicago, Illinois.
Was that your first time in Chicago, or?
Yeah, I went there to visit him when we were doing the proposal, and then I stayed there for a weekend or something. And then, I moved in the house in July, August? Yeah. Of whenever the election.
2008.
Yeah, so I was there from July to December.
Wait, so if I go visit for a weekend, then I too can move in for a period of like 6 months
Well,
time?
You don't even have to audition.
Yeah.
We had to audition.
He'll let anyone. No, I mean, we're making a book together.
I mean, do I bring Big Joe or don't bring Big Joe?
I wouldn't want Joe to not be there.
You've got someone saying there now, too, right?
So do I. Yeah, we always have somebody.
Yeah, you guys are very, supportive
of young people.
Of young bums. No, it was just part of the agreement, I mean, of course, like everyone, I got into comics to get rich, but it takes a little while.
That's why you get into teaching.
Yeah, also, two careers. See, that's why teaching and comics are so compatible, because they're both guaranteed wealth in those professions.
Really?
Well, no. But, I lost my train of thought. I don't know why.
You were getting rich on the comics.
We were getting rich off comics. No, and then we had to work so closely together, and also I was under certain constraints where it just sort of made sense to shack up. He had some extra space in his house, and I'm parasitic in nature, so it worked out.
Oh, you're parasitic in nature.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, he is
I
kidding.
was suckling his proverbial teat for as long as possible. I think we should do another book, man.
Did you feel like maybe he was like a little bit radical for you? I mean, you do seem very, very calm.
In the Bay Area.
Just in case you don't make any money off the book with Bill, here's $1 billion. Yes. It does say in there, it does have digits for one of my phone numbers.
Remember Ivy Supersonic,
can I say a real thing?
Like in Supersonic, we trust.
With all the press that Bill
right,
captured, did you feel like you were moving with the boogeyman?
Well, here's a couple things about that.
Hold on, it took me, I had to watch Russian television. I saw you on an interview, a half-hour thing, and then I realized what you were about. But you would never get that with this. Not even close. So I didn't have the fear, but otherwise I would, from that, all that media attention, how did you hold up over that?
First, go ahead. Well, yeah, here, I'll say a couple things. Well, one is that I had met Bill before. Bill is the uncle of a really good friend of mine. So I had met Bill maybe a couple times before any of this. And then he wanted to do the comic book, and I got a shot at it, and it worked out. And
it is all about connections. You need to know somebody.
I guess so.
You need to know the nephew.
That's my one connection. See, again, I keep losing my train of thought. What was it? No. Okay, so wait. When I first went to visit Bill and we were working on this proposal, I had never heard of Obama. That was like right before he totally blew up. So I had no idea that I was getting into that at all.
So you were in the house with him while this was going on?
That was later though, because we proposed the book in like February or something. So maybe I'd heard of Obama before a couple times. He was just starting to be this.
Wait, who'd you propose the book to?
Teachers College Press, who had done the book and that's who published it.
Okay.
So we put this proposal together and we got peer edited and we went through drafts and all this crap. So the whole moving in thing happened way
later. This is not your first book with that company, though, right?
Not me, but
for him. Where you have like.
They've never published a comic book.
Yeah.
Oh, so this was their first. Oh, so it's a very big deal.
Yeah. But I also would like to say, okay, so that's one thing is that I didn't know that we were entering into that situation, and it really escalated while I was there, and I almost didn't believe it was, it's like you're living in a house.
It was like a surreal.
Well, I was like,
it was surreal.
For a long time, I didn't know if this was like a real news story in the world, or if it's just like, well, we live in the house, and you hear your name on the news, and you're watching the news, but I didn't know that this was a big deal, like, until it came up later.
He's used to these radical, crazy things going on. This is his life every day. I mean,
the other thing I want to say is, for me, and I don't know what this says about my life, I've been analyzing it, but Bill is this person, like someone arrives in your life and they give you like your dream job, and they're generally like a genuinely kind person who is kind towards people. Everyone that knows Bill, and I experienced this firsthand, that whole thing of him being this character, this evil presence in the world it was fucking unreal. Like, it's absurd. We had this moment. This is like our little.
Would you consider yourself a hippie?